Feel the fear. Experience the evil. Tongue pop with trepidation. You're listening to Terror from the Closet.
Hello and welcome back to the Terror from the Closet podcast. I am Toby.
And I'm Harrison.
And today we're going to be covering Beetlejuice Beetlejuice, new released film by Tim Burton that I think a lot of people have been really excited about. It's been a long time coming. Do you know how long exactly it's been since the original?
36 years?
Yeah.
1988, I think it was, it came out.
A year before I was born.
Yep, so see, our age plus 1, 36.
Damn. It called me out, cooked me. 30. I'm 35. You guys are... Well, I will be 35 at the end of this month. But yeah, let's just go ahead and dive into it. I've been wanting to talk about this for a bit. So I wanted to start out with, like, what is our history with, or your history with the original Beetlejuice film and, like, just Tim Burton in general?
Well, okay, come on now. We are 35. We literally grew up with all of his movies, dating back to...
I love that for us.
Yeah, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Beetlejuice,
I've
Edward
never seen
Scissorhands. Oh. You know,
I've never seen Pee-wee's Big Adventure. That's, like, the only Tim Burton movie I haven't seen.
Well, trust me, there are some movies I haven't seen of his either, but I think they're the more... Like, didn't he do that... Did he do Big Eyes?
It's something Eyes, but I did see that one.
Oh, see, I've never seen that.
Is it
one.
called or Fish? Isn't it Fish Eyes?
No. Well, oh no, Big Fish.
Big Fish.
And
okay.
then I think he did a movie called Big Eyes, wasn't it? About about those drawings with the little girls with the big eyes. Yep, Tim Burton directed that.
Maybe I didn't see that.
Yeah, it stars
Big
Christoph
Eyes.
Waltz and who is that other person? Amy Adams.
Did not see this.
Yeah.
Did I see this? No, I didn't.
Yeah, no, I definitely didn't. It won some Golden Globes for Best Actress. But, gosh, I don't know.
I guess I haven't seen everything. Sorry, I lied, everyone.
I grew up with him. I've almost seen all of his stuff, at least the stuff worth seeing. He has always just been a staple of just Halloween time. And I know he didn't direct it, but he was so involved with The Nightmare on Elm Street. Not The Nightmare Before Christmas.
He was.
Yes. So, gosh, I don't know. I mean, music-wise even. Ironically, my favorite score of all of his movies is probably Planet of the Apes. The orchestral.
Really?
Yeah, the main titles, The Hunt. That out of everything. I understand the magic and beauty of like Edward Scissorhands and the quirkiness,
Which is my favorite.
I Stance. That's like the one track me and my sister would always listen to. She was always into like really intense music, like a lot of rap, and then suddenly, sister, can we listen to I Stance? And then we would bond over that.
Oh my god, I cry. I will cry. That movie gets me every time.
And I think, looking at your notes, a little spoiler alert, but I think that is probably my favorite movie of his. And,
okay.
And, you know, even going into his later movies, you know, I quite enjoyed Alice in Wonderland, despite its over-reliance on visual effects. But, yeah, I think all-time favorite film score, at least, that kind of went off a little tangent, is Planet of the Apes. And that's my history with him. It's expansive. He's been a part of my life. I mean, gosh, there you go.
Yeah.
What about your history?
Pretty much the same. I mean, I grew up watching him. I guess when I said I watch all of his movies, I like cap it off, I think, at maybe Sweeney Todd. Like, because after that, like, I enjoyed the first Alice in Wonderland, the one and only time I saw it, but I never went back. And really his most recent, sort of his Disney run kind of thing, I just really haven't been into it. Once he got into, like, the heavy CGI, he really lost me. But, you know, Beetlejuice, Edward Scissorhands, going up through sort of... the more 90s, early 2000s stuff is what I really, really enjoy.
Even
Edward Scissorhands.
that little short he did too, Victor.
Frankenweenie. Oh, Victor, I did see that
with Vincent Price narrating. I loved that.
Yeah, yes, that one is cute. Yeah, Edward Scissorhands is my favorite out of all of them. That movie still gets me. I've watched that movie so many times. But same as you, we grew up with sort of his most like classic, iconic movies. And he was always kind of spooky. and he definitely has the darkest and the best Batman movies, which I kind of forget are his movies, but like Batman Returns,
Batman Returns.
so good. But
Oh
yeah, that's about it.
damn, my bad. Sleepy Hollow.
Oh, okay, okay. I forget about that one too. No, that one's a really amazing one. I remember I used to have the art book for that.
And music wise too, the opening when they
It's a
dun dun
great
dun
score.
dun dun dun. I'm like, oh yes.
It just has that vibe. Yeah, I mean the same with, I mean the main titles for this movie just really gets you in the mood. We can talk about the score of it now since we're already kind of talking about the music.
Sure. Oh my
Let
god. So
let's do it.
we watched this together and we were
Hmm.
kind of sitting apart, but I'm pretty sure if we were sitting next to each other, we would have exchanged a glance, knowing how you would be
Hmm.
reacting to that opening credit, because it's basically the same theme but upped for
Yeah,
2024.
it's like, yeah, it's beefed up a bit. There's some more like vocals, more chorus in the background, more choir. It's so good. I was like hopping in my seat. I really can't wait to see this movie again. This because I want to listen to the score. I really mostly remember the main titles and some stuff sprinkled throughout, but they haven't released the full score soundtrack
Which
yet.
is
So
so
I'm really,
weird.
really looking. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. You can only get the main titles and the end titles at this moment, but um, yeah, I loved the original score. I did listen to that, and just recently we had rewatched the original Beetlejuice, and I forgot the opening. Like I forgot that that's the mood it sets immediately with a bump, 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 bump. Just like it
Hmm.
gets you going. It was so good, and I was just really happy to see that brought into this one. I love that we got basically the same opening, but it just was so full of nostalgia, and yeah, I really, really enjoyed it.
I think, unfortunately, it may have started the whole trend of making fun of Danny Elfman with his
But
you
that's
know.
the very essence of Danny
Yeah.
Elfman.
But like that's basically Danny Elfman is like, okay, I love this. I'm gonna do this for every movie I do from now on.
And I mean, it's worked for him. It's worked for him
And I
so
know it's
far.
like a specific style too, like something like German, you know.
Oh, oh. A lot of that going on,
Yeah.
um. All right. So I thought we could just talk about. If we want to just dive into the characters, and we can kind of go through the story as we're talking about them.
Alrighty.
But what Winona Ryder? Are you a fan?
Yes, yes, I am. I know that in our conversations, like in our ironically upcoming episode, which you've already recorded, we kind of briefly
Hmm.
talked about Winona Ryder being kind of like blacklisted by Hollywood for a point for a short
Yeah.
spiel, and then sort of making a comeback with Stranger Things.
Hmm.
And I have always appreciated her as an actor, but I have remained completely oblivious to her personal life. I
Yeah.
just know that she kind of was the big deal. She was the most
She was
sought
the
out,
it
the
girl.
yeah, the it girl. And and I kind of like lost track of her like the 90s, the early
Hmm.
2000s, and I myself have still not seen Girl Interrupted, and it is
Oh my gosh! And you love depression porn.
so that
You
is
need to watch
obviously
that
on the
movie.
list.
That
It's
movie's a down. It's a great movie, but it's a
Trust me,
downer.
Koi has had the same response. Like, you haven't seen this? My goodness. So
Of
it's
all the
on the
movies not
list.
to,
So it's on the list. And but aside from that, yes, I am a very general fan of Winona Ryder.
I would say I'm a pretty. I don't know if big fan. I'm a fan of Winona Ryder. I mean, I saw like growing up, she was just like you were saying. She was the it girl. So for us or me growing up in the '90s and the early 2000s, she was like on the face of a lot of movies. Her Little Women, the one that she's in, is My Little Women. Like it's the
Hmm.
only one I will watch.
Hmm.
Girl Interrupted, but yeah, I think she's a really special actress. She was only 15 when she did the first Beetlejuice. And I think it's a really, I don't know if you know, kind of a cute story that when she went in to speak with Tim Burton about the role, she was waiting for him to come in, and some guy walked in that she thought was from the art department, and just they started to talk, and it was like 30 minutes went by, and she was having a great time, but then was like, "Do you know when Tim Burton, the director, is gonna come?" And he was like, "Oh yeah, that's me." And like, so I thought that was like the cutest thing, and just really shows like, I can see why they'd want to work together again. Um,
My favorite story of Winona Ryder is that whole experience of her running into a fan who wanted her autograph, and this lady was talking her up like, "Oh my gosh, you're my favorite actress, and I just love you." And then Winona Ryder recognized this person as a bully from when she was in high school and said, "You
Oh my
bullied me in high
goodness.
school. Fuck you." And then
Yeah.
that's my favorite story of hers.
I love that because I think bullies need to be put in their place. And how do you bully Winona Ryder? Like,
Because
I
she
don't
was like
know,
this
but
little cute little tomboy, and I can see
yeah.
like her being like consistently like made fun of for that, and he's like, "Fuck you, I'm in
Yeah.
Beetlejuice, man."
Because, she felt like when she talks about Lydia, she feels like she is, she relates a lot to Lydia. And what she found working on the first movie that was so great about Tim Burton, that she didn't realize at first, is that he identified with Lydia and was like so caring for that character, which kind of like boosted her, her
Yeah.
performance, I think.
Two weirdos coming
But
together through art. I
two
love it.
weirdos, strange and unusual weirdos. But she did drop off the map. We don't really have to go into because I don't really know the ins and outs. I know there was some
Like a shoplifting
kleptomania,
thing.
perhaps. But yeah, but that's really all I really know about it. But I think she's a sweetheart. I'm so happy that she's kind of having a resurgence now with this. But I was kind of shocked to see where we find Lydia in this movie. Because you would think where the first movie ends, and just watching it so recently, it ends on a really happy note, right? Like the Maitlands are kind of her surrogate parents now, um, doing her ghost dance, and she seems to be sort of doing that. They thankfully don't do the all of a sudden she's wearing all pink and her hair's in a bow, but
Hmm.
she looks clearly like she's having a better time. And then to find her here, where she is, I wouldn't say sellout. Brian was like, "Well, she's a sellout," and I guess she might have been, but I think like it just was strange to see her not like, I don't know. I pictured Lydia off on her own doing her kooky little stuff. I didn't picture her to almost become um, Delia. Like she became. I like their relationship, how close they've become, but like to see her that she had a TV show and is with this terrible piece of shit person that you would think someone like Lydia would see from far away. But I guess we can kind of talk about why she is where she is. It just was a bit of a bummer at first until we got into the story and I realized what they were kind of doing with her. It was a bummer to see a character that that you really liked from the first one seem to have a happy ending and is kind of in a shitty place. Like, sure, she's rich, like, but she kind of is. She's really struggling. She's not the Lydia that we know until maybe later in the movie.
Which I'm totally fine with. A lot can happen in 36
Mm-hmm.
years. I mean, since then, she's had a lover, a very good lover, apparently. Didn't quite work out, but still
Yeah.
ended with death. And, she has a daughter. And I actually really liked where she was, because I feel that the easier path would have been her doing like her weird, whatever shit,
Mm-hmm.
writing
Holding
poetry and
seances in a
yeah.
house or something. I don't know.
Now, I really liked where she was because it was something new. It could, like, again, the easiest path could have been Lydia still just
Mm-hmm.
being Lydia from 36 years ago. So
Yeah.
I was totally fine with her doing what she was doing in this, because that kind of starts us off with an unfamiliar Lydia that we don't know. She's become the person that she's actually kind of despised. And because
Mm-hmm.
of that, we're able to kind of get like almost like a reverse arc where she kind of reverts back to her original self,
Yeah.
embracing that older Lydia spirit, able to jump
Mm-hmm.
into the afterlife to save someone she loves. So I
Yeah.
was totally okay with her being where
I,
she was.
yeah. I was just shocked, right? And I do like that we were surprised, and I do think that was a really clever thing to do for the audience. I do love what I mean. I love that her TV show is like a ghost hunters. Like I
Hmm.
fucking loved seeing her in her chair doing her little spill, but then seeing the night vision of her in the haunted house wearing her old hat. That was fucking funny. Like just like I think you like I know you like the ghost hunter shows, and I
Ghost
like found
Adventures.
footage. I'm sorry, Ghost Adventures.
I do not
I
like
still need
Ghost
to get back into
Hunters.
the and I like found footage, so that was just a really funny little mini skit that they put together for that. But yeah, I just loved seeing her. It was kind of shitty seeing though. I mean, or relatable. I don't know if it's shitty, but like relatable seeing her like needing the pills, like having anxiety, needing to like. I guess she was trying to suppress her gift, which was seeing ghosts. Um, the first scene between her and Justin Theroux, her husband, when he takes those pills away, like I gasped, and I feel like the whole audience gasps. Like, how how can you treat poor Lydia like this, and how can Lydia just be like, okay, I guess? Like, what did that make you feel like? Were you
That
caught off
made
guard?
that made me feel that okay, I do not like this Justin Theroux guy, which I have interesting to say about him, mainly in the fact that I know that he's a name and I know that he is important,
He
but I
plays
don't know
Rory.
why. And just in general,
Oh, like the actor?
yeah, because I know he's a director of something.
Well, one, he's hot.
Naturally,
Two, there's a lot of pictures in his sweatpants, and you can see a very large outline. He actually, I think he's one of the people men who famously don't wear underwear. Sorry that I know that, people, but I think he's one of them. But I first saw this man in Charlie's Angels 2 Full Throttle, and he was like the evil bad guy who had like one or two lines, but he was like the bad guy throughout. He was super sexy and evil. And ever since then, he kind of pops up. He's like a character. He pops up here and there, but he got really like I think really big or famous off of the Leftovers show. Like that was his show, and it kind of, I mean, it's kind of come and gone now, but like that, I remember kind of boosted him up a bit more. But I don't really follow his career too much. I just know that he's sort of a character. He pops up here and there.
golly, honestly, I think I've only ever seen him in one. And while I have seen Charlie's Angels Full Throttle many, 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 many years ago, honestly, the only thing I have seen him in aside from Beetlejuice is his little tiny role in The Last Jedi.
Is he the dad?
No,
Is
he's the
he? Who is he?
he is the gambler that they're supposed to go
Mm.
recruit, but then they end up getting Benicio del Toro, who sounds like a snake.
I've only seen that movie once,
Yeah,
so
that's like, and then people are like, "Oh my God, that's Justin Theroux." I'm like,
who?
"Who?" But
Justin the Who. That was dumb.
so I don't know. I know like he's a big deal, I suppose, but I'm just like, oh, that's just a guy to me.
He's just a dude and a piece of shit, which makes it even worse when you're seeing Winona
Oh
Ryder cower
yes,
to him, right? Like,
yes. Character wise, terrific in the sense that he is just so terrible, so terrible and cringy, and just fit in with that oddball group of people that only Tim
hmm
Burton can create. That's how I
yeah,
knew that Tim Burton was kind of reverting back to who he truly was by kind of creating these characters which are just almost over exaggerated caricatures of real
yeah, they're
people,
all.
you know. Almost
What's that
felt
word?
like he would live in the same town that all the people lived in with Edward
I,
Scissorhands.
yeah, everyone has that like. It's like it's like a hyper realism. Like,
Mm-hmm.
they're all kind of caricatures, just about that relationship. I do you think that she is with him because she's obviously traumatized from what happened in Beetlejuice. We find out in this movie that when she talks about Beetlejuice, that about the demon, like she was traumatized by this. She's seeing him everywhere still, even all these years later. Do you think she like gravitated towards Rory, the husband, because maybe he reminds her of like he's almost a Beetlejuice, like even in the way he kind of moves around is just this like shitty person who's taking advantage of her. Do you think that maybe it was like she got with him because it subtly reminded her of Beetlejuice
Actually,
in a traumatic way?
no, no. Actually,
Oh
I
wow.
don't. Straight on, I really don't, because it's revealed to us that I think the only reason why that she gravitated toward him was through her grief over the death of her husband, because they met in that
Because of the
grief group.
counselor thing. I
Yeah,
just meant like if she I know they met in the grief group, but like why him specifically? Because I'm sure there was other men there. But that's
he
just when I
just
was watching the
yeah
movie.
he just
Yeah.
knew how to pull those pull all the right strings to get what he wants, which was terrible because taking advantage of people who are grieving is just the worst thing ever.
And Winona Ryder said that she like when she read the script, she kind of had not a problem, but she was really confused as why Lydia. She had a picture of Lydia herself, like what she would be up to, like why she would be with this person. She didn't know, and that Tim Burton just said like sometimes even the best people get wrapped up with these other like hanger oners that are just shitty people, but it just happens to the best of us. We just let certain people into our life, and all of a sudden they've taken over everything.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes sense in that way, and I guess that can lead us over then to Beetlejuice himself, Michael Keaton, who has been popping back up in his old roles. Recent, at least he's been called back to Batman, which he has 100% been saying is all paycheck stuff. He doesn't give a fuck about superhero movies.
Mm-hmm.
So when he was coming back for this, when I first heard of it, I was just like, oh, is this another? He just needs that paycheck. He's coming back, going back to the well. But personally, I think he really brought it here. Like I feel like he was really passionate about this role specifically.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the passion that was at least felt and seen and was brought by Tim Burton.
Mm-hmm.
Just because, Michael Keaton, or he prefers his actual name now, doesn't he?
What's his actual name?
I have to look that up, but there was all like he wants to be referred now as Michael Keaton, because Michael Keaton is just his middle name. Michael Keaton, what is his last name? Michael Keaton Douglas.
What?
Yeah.
Michael Keaton, it's a little too late.
Yeah, I don't know, that talk about losing your, what's that called? Not street cred, but brand recognition.
Your brand recognition. Who the fuck's Michael Keaton Douglas? There's
I don't know
already a Michael
Keaton.
Douglas.
So it's like interesting. It's kind of like what's that thing that happened with Paul Thomas Anderson and P.T. Anderson?
And like
Paul W.S.
Anderson.
Anderson, yeah. So I'm just like, Michael Keaton Douglas. I don't know how to feel about that. Sorry. In a world where we must accept people going referring to themselves by other names, in this rare case, Michael Keaton just... Michael Keaton.
It just,
you know who that is.
Michael Keaton.
But, I mean, it's been 36 years. And ironically, everyone ages. That happens. Mm-hmm. But there's only one scene where we see aged Beetlejuice, and it's that close up. You think you know which one I'm talking about, where he does that really like sinister smile, and it's just like, old Beetlejuice, but still brings it. Still absolutely brings it. Killed it with Beetlejuice, even after all these years.
Yeah, all the creative things they do with him. He's in this movie a lot more than he's in the first one. I was surprised when I rewatched it.
How little he's in that.
How little he's in the first one. But in this one, the voiceover or the dubbing, when they had the scenes where he was speaking a different language, and it just, none of that is in the first one, and I just love that they didn't try and do the first one exactly. They really brought a bunch of new kooky stuff that really felt like it was in the same world. And half the songs that they sang, I didn't know.
No, I didn't either. I really didn't.
There was no Day-O. I mean, Day-O was in it, but that's one thing. There wasn't
a funeral dirge.
Yeah, there was a funeral dirge, which that was fucking fun. Mm-hmm. I mean, and that Delia did that because she's reminiscing of it. Just is so funny. But the song in the train station, the song that they sing at the wedding, I wasn't familiar with any of those. But they fit.
That was clearly calling back. That wasn't for us, I feel. That was people who were our age in 1988.
Who would know those songs.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right, I'll give it to you. I'm reliving the glory day. Or maybe it's just a Tim Burton thing. I don't know. Because, I mean, is he hoping to do what the Stranger Things have been doing recently with, we're going to play this song that was famous in the 80s, and suddenly it's going to hit the charts again? Because, I don't know. I mean, as funny as it was, I'm not finding myself having to look those songs up.
Yeah, I wanted a Day-O scene just for nostalgia, but I wasn't really satisfied with the sort of the companion scene that's in this movie. It was still fun. Everyone was super dedicated, but it didn't really hit for me. Mm-hmm. I think while talking about Beetlejuice, the gore and kind of violence that's carried over from the first one into this one, which I'm not one to say this really, but like, don't take your little kids to this movie because like it just
No, no, no,
it
no.
it is
Take your kids to this movie.
well, I mean, I think maybe like at a certain age because there was a kid in our theater. I don't know if you heard him, but they started to cry every time something scary happened, and it was just like it's a hard PG-13.
Hmm.
There's two scenes that I was really shocked by. Like mouth fell open, could not believe that this was they were showing it, and that was the Lydia baby, her stomach growing
Yes. Oh
her
my
first
God.
meeting Beetlejuice, the first time seeing Beetlejuice, and he's which is fucking hilarious, being the counselor, the marriage counselor, and that's what he does. She's already traumatized, and the first thing that happens to her is a fake baby comes out and explodes out of her. Like, what do you do? Like, it just was. I was like, I looked at Brian like, is this like, is that really happening? And then the baby's like chewing on her leg and blood, like you're seeing the blood and bite marks. Like, what were you thinking when that was happening?
And I think we talked about this last time we were together, but for me, I feel that was just a very loving reference to Dead Alive,
Yes,
the
yes.
Peter Jackson zombie comedy. I will say
Which is
comedy.
a hard R.
Hard R, and that was in the early '90s.
Mm-hmm.
So, what was the other scene? Is it
It
involving
was
the baby too?
It's still the baby.
Still
Like
the
it's the
baby.
ending
Yep.
scene with Jenna Ortega giving birth. I'm like, Jenna, I can't believe you signed off on that. Like it was great. I love that how dedicated everyone was, but the explosion of blood, on the table, and then the baby starts to eat everyone. It was a pleasant surprise, but I was shocked.
And
The Carrie theme playing.
you know what's crazy? I feel okay. Two things. One, Tim Burton definitely pulled his "I'm fucking Tim Burton" card. So you're gonna let me do this because the rumor is, or maybe it was confirmed, was that this was not a studio led movie. This was I'm gonna give me money. I'm gonna do whatever I want because I'm Tim fucking Burton. So there were no studio notes. There were no, and it felt like that. This
Thank
felt,
God.
thank God. And two, so we watched Sweeney Todd the night we watched Beetlejuice Beetlejuice because the new 4K came out, and I always used to remember that, even going back to Sleepy Hollow, that Tim Burton had like that very signature blood look, where it wasn't quite dark red, it was like bright red, like probably referencing like a bunch of stuff from like Dawn of the
Giallo.
Dead or Giallo. And I'm thinking, okay, I feel the gore scenes would have been less intense had he used that bright red Giallo Dawn of the Dead blood, but this was straight up like horror. Dark red
Gore.
blood, yes.
Like seeing the bodies. I mean, they were fucked up in the first one. Like it was shocking in the first one. Going back to it, how like graphic some of the stuff was, but still very cartoony. This one's still super cartoony, but I was like, whoa! I am so happy that it wasn't. I was fully expecting a watered down version of the humor and the effects and things. But like the guy run over. Just like the guy. I mean, we can like Monica Bellucci putting herself together. I was like, this is really like a lot. I mean, it's somehow sexy as well. Um,
Gosh, and we're forgetting like our shark victim.
yeah. So let's talk about Delia, and we can talk about Jeffrey Jones as Mr. Deets. But Delia is basically back to her old tricks, or she's hasn't changed too much. If not, maybe gotten a bit of a heart. Like it seems like her and Lydia have grown together in the years since, and I kind of like their little duo because obviously in the first one they're so at odds, but in this one I really felt like they were partners in crime, or just like they were an actual family this time, and I was really bummed to see Delia go. I did not expect Delia to die, and I'm kind of sad about it.
In a funny way that's still in character.
It's so in character. I mean, the way she goes is totally on point. I just
Mhm.
personally was like, oh, bummer. I mean, if they have to do Beetlejuice, right? Because you got to do the three. So hopefully they'll figure out a way for her to come back.
No, I loved your character. She was just. I'm wondering how hard it was for her not to do her. What was that TV show she was in? Remember?
Oh, Schitt's Creek do
Yeah,
her
yeah, like
Moira.
yeah,
Moira Rose.
Her Moira voice. 'Cause I feel that she would. It was a character that would do that, but
Mm-hmm.
no, I still loved her. I loved her in the first one just because of how kooky she was, and
Mm-hmm.
this one she's kookier, older, and I think they've just character wise, Lydia and what's her name in this one?
Delia.
Lydia and Delia have just sort of accepted that they're both weird in their own ways and just sort of
Because we
accepted that gap.
get to see a bit more of Delia's artwork, where now she's transitioned from making sculptures to which you see outside of Jenna Ortega's school,
Hmm.
those old sculptures, but to doing more like avant-garde kind of artwork where she's like mixed. It's like mixed media. The part where she's screaming in front of the cameras just got me. Like that was I thought it was so freaking funny. And she's like, and everyone, I invite you to do the same. And then the second you see whether the asps, is that what they were? The snakes, she's a goner.
Hmm.
But she is no longer married because when we are introduced to her character, she is letting Lydia know that her father is dead in a very humorous scene, even though it's about something sad because, of course, Delia is really only caring about herself. Doesn't even seem to be super mad that Mr. Deets is dead. She's just kind of doing I don't know. She seems more upset at her loss, not that someone actually died. And the reason why, which I think was pretty clever, although I don't know why they had to have him in the movie as much, but the character of Mr. Deets is back, but the actor Jeffrey Jones is not back. And do you know why?
Yes, I do. He's a little kitty porn admirer.
He's a kitty porn admirer. He was caught with child porn, and also it seems like he may have invited a young boy over for a photo shoot, things like that. And so he is, I think he, there was an interview with him a while back, but yeah, he obviously is apologetic and all that thing, but like did not deserve to be in this movie. And I'm glad that they didn't include him, but I don't think you had to have the character in this movie, but if they were going to, I think it was a pretty clever way of like not having the actor come back, but still having the same old Mr. Deeds.
I'm just imagining that like that meeting, that creative meeting that most undoubtedly had. Like, we can't have the actor in the movie, but we need the character in the movie. How do we work around that? And Mr. Tim Burton's
But did
like,
they need the character?
huh?
Like, do you think they needed the character though? Like, I'm sure why they couldn't have just been like, he died, and that's that.
Oh, kind of like did do it with the whole like how Lydia's husband was dead.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think I liked it because it gave Tim Burton a chance to be like, okay, we need to work our way around this. How do we do it? Let's have his character have his head bitten off by a shark,
it was like half his body,
and
his
then
upper torso.
we can have like the big old gaping wound that's spewing blood. And I'm like, that's it. There we
The
go.
talking, spurting through the esophagus was just like genius, disgusting. Though that was another one of the pieces of the effects where I was like, whoa, this is a lot more graphic than I expected it to be.
And again, I feel that
And
was still a reference to Dead Alive with the nurse who gets her head kind of like partially ripped off, and it kind of
yeah,
goes back and does that horrible gurgling
oh
sound.
my god, he's obviously a fan of that movie.
Hmm.
I guess the only saving thing with Mr. Deets is I'm glad that Delia found him again in the afterlife, and that she really didn't care about his misfortunate appearance now, and was really more concerned with she. I remember she was like, "Oh, look at what happened to you, but look what happened to me," and look at like the two tiny bites on her neck. Like I thought that was cute. But does this mean they went off to the afterlife or
Yeah,
the
the
great beyond?
great
If they get on
beyond.
the train? What
Hmm.
is the great beyond?
God, heaven or hell. Obviously, this is where they are is a way station to both.
I was reading somewhere, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, but that the dead who are working, it's like everyone who killed themselves becomes civil servants in the afterlife, and so that's why everyone who hasn't moved on, they're all people working in the like
Aw,
after death agency.
that's so sad because then that means that Lydia's husband was considered a suicide.
Oh, that's well. There, it was a suicide mission. He went to a place he should. But that's
Eaten
something
by
I read. It could be
piranha.
wrong. People can correct me. But let's go ahead and just kind of breeze through some of the rest. We got Jenna Ortega, which is probably the biggest name right now in the movie outside of the original cast. I thought she was fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like Jenna Ortega, Monica Bellucci, and Willem Dafoe are like the newer, bigger names that are back. And I thought they all did fine. I think Jenna Ortega is a great actress, and I think she was a very obvious choice
Mm-hmm.
for coming off of Wednesday and sort of the other darker tones of things that she's been doing. But I wasn't like super wowed by anything, and I don't think her character was written to really wow. She just was kind of the the impotence to get Lydia into the out to meet Beetlejuice and sort of get the ball rolling to the climax. But what did you think about her?
Again, I thought she was just okay. I'm wondering again, similar to how with Delia with Moira, how was it hard for her not to immediately revert back to Wednesday? Because I feel that Lydia would have birthed like a Wednesday.
Yeah,
You know?
and Jenna worked with Tim on Wednesday already, so I could see her falling back into that. And I don't think she really brought anything Lydia-like. I didn't
Mm-hmm.
look at her and was like, "Yes, that's Lydia's
She
daughter."
was her own. She was her own bit. Like there was only an awkward moment where I feel maybe she almost channeled Wednesday, and it was in the trailers, but you probably haven't seen it because you're doing that
I
whole
didn't watch the trailer.
where
Yeah, I'm trying to.
yeah, it's that scene where her classmates prank her with the skeleton, and it's all, and when she's like, when you're on your fourth divorce or whatever, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay, yes,
You
I
know,
did like that. I did
where
like that.
but aside from that, yeah, she was just fine. I love Jenna Ortega, probably not as much as you, but I do love her. And girl, I understand. Cute boy in a tree reading a book.
I would have fallen for it. I would have been in. I'd be dead by now.
Oh,
If I was
and
her, so I didn't blame her.
me and Twinks, just right there.
Oh yeah.
3 of them in this movie. One of them a serial killer. One of them a Count Dracula impersonator, and
Oh
one of
yes.
them a severed, bisected surfer dude.
The surfer dude who was also eaten. I'm assuming it was the joke was like he was killed by a shark as well. Um,
But
as
I
Mr.
just, yeah, I'm like, okay, there we go. Thank you, Tim Burton, for that.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
But yeah,
Um,
I understand. I mean, I have not read Crime and Punishment. I have it somewhere here, but I mean, shit, maybe I need to go read that in a tree and just wait for a cute boy to come by. Hopefully, not a serial killer,
Hopefully, but you never know.
or maybe that's the added
Um,
benefit. Who knows?
we're not that lucky. And then Monica Bellucci, who I did see promoted like as the villain of the movie, but I kind of feel like all the promotional spots or things that I saw, like stills and stuff, was basically her entire role because she was almost like the amount of screen time that Beetlejuice had in the first one. Like she popped in here and there. I thought she was really intriguing, and I thought her like entrance of putting herself back together, like Sally. She reminded me of like an evil Sally from
Mhm.
Nightmare Before Christmas. I thought everything done with all of her scenes were really well done, and I really liked her. But she like was there and gone. Like the climax, like she didn't really. I was expecting a fight between her and Beetlejuice and Lydia, and that doesn't really come to pass. She kind of saves the Lydia from having to marry Beetlejuice because she breaks in at the last minute. But what did you think? Like,
Yeah, a little underused. I feel that she is an obvious setup for the third film because that seems to be where, I mean, she was our Beetlejuice. She got the same ending as Beetlejuice did in the first film, so I feel she's going to have
You're
a
right.
bigger role in the inevitable third
You think
film.
it'll be her and Rory?
Justin Theroux, yep. It's set up in that way. So I am ready to see what she is going to do. And aside from her being visually just there, I mean, it's obvious that she was the woman from
Her and Tim Burton are together. So
In
it's
real
like-
life?
it's yeah, in real life. So
Oh
and this
my
is something that Tim
God.
does. You can follow his career and the whatever ladies in like the whatever series of movies. That's the one he's crushing on. So you had Helena Bonham Carter. There's a couple other ones. I'm forgetting her name. But then Monica Bellucci, he's with right now, and it's just I don't know.
intriguing.
You can't help but see it.
I
But
feel
I mean, it's fucking Monica Bellucci. Like,
Yeah.
I would fall in love with Monica Bellucci. So
what was your first movie with her? Like, what do you remember?
it was called. Brotherhood of the Wolf, I think.
Oh, Le Pacte de Louvre.
Yes, that's the one. Well, that's the one that I first noted. I remember seeing her in, but she's been in a lot of movies, like a lot.
Yeah.
She's also one of those actresses that was around already by the time Winona Ryder was big and
Hmm.
back then. But she was, she's a foreign actress or does more foreign films, I think,
Oh,
these days.
this poor recording made it seem like he said porn actress.
She's a porn actress. Sorry, she's
Porn.
an actress of foreign film.
Yeah, there you go. An
Um,
actress of porn films.
Of porn films. No, no, I'm sorry, Monica, you're not. But she's
It's
beautiful and gorgeous, and her boobs are out for all to fear.
let's see. What do I remember her? I remember her. Yeah, from Brotherhood of the Wolf, Irreversible.
I
That
think she was in one of
just
the Grimm fairy tales.
she was in The Matrix Reloaded,
Oh,
and
that's like where yeah.
and of course Passion of the
I
Christ.
I want to kiss, just one kiss.
She wasn't kissing you on your lips, my love. But
Scandal.
no, yeah, I feel again she was chasing after Beetlejuice the whole movie and then got carried away by a sandworm.
And her like sucking everyone to like dry. I thought that was a really funny gag, and I just thought it's funny that they had Monica Bellucci like with. I just want to see them film that scene of her holding the dummy that gets because obviously it was practical.
Yep.
Like which will let's just get into the effects.
Oh God, yes.
I mean, and Willem Dafoe is part of the cast. He's Wolf Jackson, actor turned detective, and he does
Yeah.
a great job.
Willem- yeah.
he Dafoe's, so he's really fun.
Willem
part of it.
Dafoe is
And-
again just an amusing character in this whole movie. Briefly, just give him whatever you want, he's going to deliver, and he just goes all out with this. And I just love his little assistant who's always bringing him a coffee too.
Yes, that was fun. And even in like the real world, like in the land of the living, she shows up to give him coffee at the end. And for me, honorable mention, real quick, Danny DeVito. I just love when he pops up. He's worked with Tim before.
I don't know why I
so
thought
just-
that for some reason. I think it was early on in the film for me to kind of be cynical and be like, oh, it's going to be like a digital recreation of that first janitor that the Alec Baldwin and Gina Davis met. Remember, it's like it's the the one with who does like the pull down. And it's like it's
Yeah.
the land where people die or dead or something. I don't know, but I'm so glad it was Danny DeVito,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
I guess died by poisoning because he's drinking like the cleaner.
Yeah,
and-
and he's still drinking it. He killed himself with the.
there you go,
whatever.
suicides.
And then, do we miss the Mainlands? Or the Maitlands? Sorry.
Yes and no. Yes, because it would have been nice to have, but then you have to deal with I guess ghosts age.
You'd have to de-age them,
Yeah.
I guess, or make a gag where they age themselves, or I don't know.
Or they're
I get
just
why
like-
they didn't.
Or they just look like their corpse selves when they get summoned in the
that would be
the
kinda-
finale.
That would be
I'm
kind of funny, actually.
I'm okay that they're gone. I like their little logical explanation for
They
explaining
moved
them
on.
away.
They found a
loophole.
loophole. So they had their happy ending still. But did you know they have a tiny cameo in the very beginning of the movie when you're going through the model, right before you pan up to the model of the main house, you see the Mainlands like in the front of it waving at the house. So I'm assuming that represents like them. That's when they were moving on.
Aw.
They're like little tiny miniatures with you see just the back of them, but you can tell it's them, like their outfits.
Oh, I didn't see
And they're just
that.
they just have their hands raised like bye and
Oh,
that's it. So that was cute. Let's wrap up with effects.
yeah.
And is this a return to form for Tim Burton?
Oh God, I hope so, because practical Tim Burton is so much better than digital Tim Burton with Disney. Let's just say Disney
garish
Tim Burton.
CGI, like
Mhm.
yeah.
Because I'll just remember that really cold blue screen set with Tweedledee and Tweedledum, and it's just that Josh Lucas in like a fat suit walking, and then the only practical thing in full costume is the Alice character, and I'm just like, so
No one's
clinical.
in the same room
so-
together.
yeah, and it's just so it just has a garish look of like you can just tell that this person who's making this is not having a good time.
Mm-hmm.
As all good as the movie is, as great as all the design was, I can just feel it that I feel that way, and I feel like a lot of people have been hating on Tim Burton because of that, and probably have been hating Tim Burton for a little bit longer before even his thing. I think the last great movie he did before he started doing all these Disney stuff was, in fact, Big Fish.
Okay.
Like I feel that was maybe like the last like the last true Tim. Well, actually, you know what? That's a fucking lie, Sweeney Todd.
I was just thinking
But
I like Sweeney Todd, but like being you mean like the being the creative director? Like I feel like
yeah,
his
but
I feel the
Sweeney,
passion.
yeah, because Sweeney Todd was like an adaptation, so it wasn't like truly his. It was his
Mm-hmm.
interpretation of it. Big Fish, I feel, was his last original like kind of
Mm-hmm.
outing. Unless I don't know, this has been happening lately. Unless Big Fish is based on a book, which I don't think it
I don't
is.
think it
You
is,
know.
but we could be wrong.
Yeah. So, but no, gosh, please, Tim Burton, please do this wonderful, practical approach to your movies because it is absolutely wonderful. Like,
It just adds so much. It just oozes atmosphere. Whatever you think about the story or what the movie as a whole, you can't deny that like you are in the. He has created a world, and when you're watching the movie, you are in that world. Everything seems tactile. I don't feel like they were on a green screen for the whole time. I felt like you could feel the actors' energy being around each other with the costumes and all the different things they were working with. I loved it. I was in heaven.
because it could have been so easy for like Tim for any well, not even any other director, for even Tim Burton to be like the moment like the whatever's are sucked out of
Hmm.
those people, for it to
Yeah,
just be like a visual effect, but it
it's
was
fucking
just a
funny.
fucking accordion styled like practical.
Poor
It was,
Bob.
yeah. Bob was
Bob, we will miss
so,
you. Moment of silence, Bob.
yes.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
I was sad to see him go, but and I love that he got his own credit.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Bob. Um, I like that dead people can die too. Obviously, they set that up in the first movie. There's like a lost souls
Mm-hmm.
closet that you end up. Um, but yeah, I feel like I hope Tim Burton. I hope this movie does well, which I think it is doing well. I hope that Tim Burton is able to continue with this, and maybe we'll do another original, like an Edward Scissorhands, something that's not a sequel again, and
Mm-hmm.
stick with this. Just yeah, it made me feel like a kid again. So
Yeah.
that's all you can hope for with something like this.
And I feel casual audiences aren't like excited as we are to know that a lot of this film was practical.
Yeah,
Because
I mean that the skeleton. Okay, I think my favorite one is the skeleton. The board operator, because it's literally a
mhm,
skeleton going, "Hold on, please." Like it just like that just brought me back because today they could have. I mean, even doing practical, they could have made it a really complicated thing, and it is literally
just
a
like a
spray painted black skeleton going. So I just movie magic. It yeah
yeah,
goes a long way.
because I also write reviews for the newspaper I work for,
You sure do.
so I have to write it there and then uh, release it to the general public. But then the reactions I've been getting from that are, "Oh, it's just okay. It was all right," and I'm all like, "You don't know how great this movie. You're looking at it on a surface level, which, hey, casual people will always do that, but the fact."
Cinema literacy has gone way down.
And I blame a lot of that for these theme park movies, which I still
Yeah.
love. Who doesn't love a good theme park? But the fact that it's returning to like the fact that movies, and I don't know, I know your views on Christopher Nolan, but that's why there's such a big deal, is that
Hmm.
they maintain that practicality, that it's still like it's actually an actual movie and not like a
Yeah.
product. And this, while still being like a sequel, is not a lazy sequel because
At
of the
all.
amount
At
of
all.
passion and practicality that went into it. I'm just happy that there are people out there like us who
Hmm.
appreciate the film for that aspect. It's just a little disappointing that people are just saying, yeah, it was okay," but not realizing truly how lucky they are to have gotten a sequel like this. Because again,
Yeah, it could
this
have
could have,
been
yeah.
Alice in Wonderland easily.
Hmm.
It could have just been another one. But yeah, let's go ahead and if you just want to say your final thoughts, I think We've gone pretty long over here.
Oh yeah.
Um, Overall,
Okay, so yeah, Beetlejuice is a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful sequel. And in a world of sequels, which seem kind of disappointing and just like, oh, a cash grab. This feels like a cash grab, those kind of movies. This one felt fresh, unique, not lazy. There was clearly a lot of passion and love went into this. And one thing, especially when it comes to just Tim Burton either calling back to his earlier roots, but the fact that he's able to like directly reference and also pull off quite flawlessly homages to other properties. Like, we didn't talk about the whole backstory of Beetlejuice, but that whole sequence that looked like a Universal Monsters black and white homage, lovely. And it's all in French. I think it was French.
and that's what I mean. How these like strange creative choices that like are so out of nowhere is what makes this such an original sequel. For being a sequel, it is still like it stands completely on its own as well.
And I feel it's something that only Tim Burton could get away with nowadays. Like, oh, what? In this one, we're gonna have a homage to Universal Monsters. Like, what? You want to do what?
Yeah.
And then not only that, but like, of course, referencing a lot of giallo lighting, which was also present in the original. So it could just be referencing the original, but there's very specific visual choices with that, and actually still making it as dark, even darker than the original, but still having it be fun. Like having a murder house in that town with and I think I knew that, okay, something's not right.
I knew that. I thought the parents were dead. That's what I thought maybe they killed themselves because of him or something, but
and it
the
was
twist
darker.
did get me. It was a little darker than that.
He killed them.
And then he died by falling out of his tree house.
Yeah. But yeah, obviously there's a lot of love for this. So what are your final thoughts on Beetlejuice?
I am just very happy with how this movie turned out. And it's funny because I didn't grow up as a huge fan of Beetlejuice. I forgot to preface that earlier. Again, there's a lot of stuff I was not allowed to watch. For some reason, Beetlejuice was on the list of what I could watch. And I didn't like it back then because I as a kid, I didn't like gross stuff. I didn't like gore. And I think I saw this movie, and to me, all it was like a gross, scary, wasn't funny. I didn't like the stuff. And so I didn't watch it a lot growing up. So it's more as an adult I've come to love this movie, and I had a lot of expectations for this one coming out, and they were all met. And I'm just really happy that the actors all came back. I'm glad that they came up with, I think, a story that's worthy of a sequel 36 years later. And like you were saying, the effects, how tactile everything feels, and yeah, I don't know. I don't want to gush about it too much. It's just like all of it put together. It's the exact kind of movie that I like as someone who wants to make movies and act in movies and interested in art and all the behind the scenes stuff. I think this movie just has a perfect package of all of it put together.
Mm-hmm. And one thing we forgot to mention, and I think we should talk about it real quick, is how they were able to still get away with animating the sandworm as a claymation,
because they're my favorite creatures in the movie.
Yeah, and so there were two things actually I wanted to say that now that I think about it. And again, if had we been sitting together and had I actually been sitting next to Brian, I would have looked over and gave him a stare that immediately said, "Oh shit, here comes Shai Hulud," because I'm pretty sure they used the same effect with the sand kind of vibrating.
Sandworm, didn't they?
Yeah, because that effect with the sand vibrating, I'm like, Brian, Shai Hulud. And there's a scene where they escape, like the father helps them escape, and you can just, and this is what I love about the practical aspect, the approach to it, is that when they're running out that door, there's a head of the sandworm approaching the door, and you could tell that it's just a prop that's just being walked to the door.
Yeah, and that stuff is just
love it.
Exactly, the joy. What I was like, why I like this movie. It brings just that joy, and maybe it's only going to touch those who are interested in film or cinephiles and things, but like for me, it just was such a wonderful experience. I really want to go see it again. I haven't had a chance yet.
Me
I
too.
wanted to see it again before this review, but I'm just very happy with it. And did you catch the Carrie theme at the end? That it was Carrie's
No,
theme. So at the whole, let's talk about the very ending really quick because
the
you have
baby,
Lydia.
the baby dream.
Yeah, it's like Lydia dreaming of like the future, and she's going off to on trips with Janet with her daughter, and then her daughter meets Count Dracula, maybe like somewhere at It's at Dracula's castle though. Gets married, and then the whole time from the time that Jenna sees him to like going into like the birthing scene, the Carrie theme is playing from the very end, like where what's her face is going to put down the flowers and like her hand comes up. The same theme plays when she's giving birth, and then it goes when the baby comes out, and it's just and then Winona wakes up. But that baby is just such a choice. I just have to bring that up again. That baby
Oh
was
my
such a
god!
choice.
I mean, like
And
the straight up Pino Donaggio score was
the
playing.
straight up
Oh
score. I
my
turned to Brian and I
God.
was like, "That's Carrie's score." I was such a nerd, and he was like, "Oh, "Okay, I don't know what that means."
Sure, Toby. Sure.
But yes, yeah, you have to listen to it. And then the ending of her, she's clearly traumatized still. She wakes up with Beetlejuice in the bed next to her, and then wakes up again alone. Poor Lydia. But I think a setup still. He's still in her mind.
Clear sign
Hopefully
we're
he'll
getting
be back.
a third Beetlejuice, or at least I hope.
But I give it 4.5 Demon Babies.
Oh,
I walked
wonderful!
away from this with a much more joyous feeling, unfortunately, than I did with Alien Romulus. People may disagree with me, but I feel like this is really how to do a sequel with enough nostalgia but enough new. Whereas Romulus is very much a sequel of nostalgia and a lot of reused ideas, which can be good. Was it well executed? But I didn't feel the absolute passion in that movie as I do from this one. But so that's my ranking. Or
Wonderful.
my rating.
Well, hey, maybe you saw my review because I gave it the exact same rating,
I
four
didn't see
point
your review. I try
five.
not to if we're gonna review it.
Okay, well that's fair because it's pretty much just a lot of the same stuff that we've been talking about, except now I'm actually able to discuss it with someone. So, but yeah, 4.5 Demon Babies out of 5. I forgot what I used. I think I just said Shark Bites as a review, as my rating thing review, but yeah, 4.5 Demon Babies out of 5 for me. So we're on the same level in that sense.
All right. Well, that's our discussion on Beetlejuice Beetlejuice.
Yeah.
Well, what do we have coming up next?
We're going to be discussing See No Evil. Oh, wait. Sorry. No. Speak No Evil. That's the other things. Speak No Evil. With James McAvoy, Muad'Dib
James
himself.
Daddy McAvoy.
And I think we said
do
that
no
no
wrong.
matter what he does, we'll just like him anyways. So just hit.
We'll be gushing.
We'll be gushing, and I'm intrigued about it. I keep seeing the fucking trailer every movie I watch. It seems
Have you
so.
seen the original? And I'm wondering if I should before I see this one.
What the fuck? It's a remake.
It's a remake of a foreign film that literally came out like a year ago, like 2 years ago, if that.
No.
You probably saw the poster. I remember because it's like a poster of sunset, and it's just like a car that's dead center, and it just says "Speak No Evil." I don't know, but yeah, it's a remake of a foreign film because people can't read apparently.
No, they
Subtitles.
can't.
But we got
Wow.
Daddy McAvoy, so
Well, I guess that's the one winner here. No, I did not know it was a remake, and I don't think I'll watch it. I think I'll have
might wait.
I'll have expectations, and if they're not met, I'll be very disappointed. So no, I'm not gonna watch it.
I wonder what that's like. Well, okay, you can find us on social media at Closet Terror on Twitter, and then at Terror from the Closet on both Instagram and YouTube. We're trying to upload some new content on YouTube, including Let's Plays and movie reactions, so definitely head over there to check those out. But as always, my name is Toby, and this is Terror from the Closet. Have a good one.
Goodbye.